If you want somebody who is too eager to be the president, throughout history, even God himself loved the reluctant leader. Moses was reluctant. Joshua was reluctant. Reluctant leaders make the best leaders. But people are entitled to their democratic right. But let me now go to the question of hustler.
Okay.
I'm very afraid for Kenya when we have this binary approach to the country. But yet, there is merit in what is being said. And I don't have to agree with William Samoei Ruto, because the message that they are articulating and is being midwifed by my good friend Barack Muluka and I think Eliud Owalo, they are midwifing a very powerful message and is resonating with the public that there is a dichotomy by those who are daddy's boys. Daddy's boys to mean my father was a minister, my father was a president, my father was a vice president, my father was this, my father was a PC, my father was this, and therefore Kenya owes us. Unspoken. And there are those who feel that they have been downtrodden. In Kiswahili they say it very well, and allow me to use Kiswahili. Imegawanywa kwa mabwana na watwana. Kuna wa mabwana na watwana. But it's dangerous. It is dangerous because it creates a fertile ground for conflict. It energizes the so-called hustlers in a manner that is at once positive and negative, so that they build an enemy. Who did it in history before them? Hitler in Germany used it. Benito Mussolini used it. Attila the Hun used it. What would I love to hear? That we have a Kenya where we are looking at things that affect us all. Health, education, agriculture, innovation, invention. This country regained our independence in 1963. This country is less than 60 years old since it regained our independence. When you want to divide it on that basis, in as much as there is merit, you are setting us up. We looked into the abyss in 2007. We stared. The world came and pulled us back. This time round, when you see what happened in Murang'a, that is a cakewalk. If we go on that trajectory and sell this message, Jeff Koinange, I'm not a Jewish prophet, but we are headed in the wrong direction. We must de-emphasize this and only talk about one Kenya, where there is no Jew or Gentile, there is no Kikuyu or Kamba or Luo. There is no hustler, there is no dynasty. Otherwise, Jeff Koinange,
I'm struggling to understand what my good friend is saying.
Which part are you struggling with?
Which part are you struggling with?
Everything that he has said. First, is it true that there are poor people in this country?
Of course there are.
There are. Is it true that the distribution of wealth is pyramidal? Yes, it is. Is it true that the conversation about poverty and its eradication has been part or framed as part of the national agenda? Yes, it has. At independence, we were talking about defeating poverty, ignorance, and disease. And my good brother speaks to those three things. He says that we must have education, we must have health, we must eradicate ignorance, we must have schools, which are good things. But it is true that some people have education, not just within the country, but offshore. That in fact we have people who preside over education in this country, but whose progeny enjoys education overseas, that we have people in this country, and thanks to COVID-19, and I'm sorry, I know you suffered a little
That's okay,
bit.
thank you. That's all right, bro.
I'm sorry, I should have started.
No, it's okay.
But thanks to COVID-19, all the same, that it levelized us, and all of us were here for the first time. There are people who have been in charge of the Ministry of Health. When they fall sick, they go out of the country for treatment. That the only place where you find our Lala Hoi and our Lala Hai together in this country are in the cold rooms. I think it is important that we have this conversation. But we can have this conversation without the animals that seems to be informing it. We cannot say that the poor should remain poor quietly, silently, because if we speak about their situation, the country is going to erupt. There have been situations where those kinds of conversations have been bottled and they have erupted, because it's like trying to cover a fire with the palm of your hand. Let this conversation be held.
I agree.
Let us
completely.
shift the matrix. Let us not demonize political conversations about the true status of our existence here, because poverty is real. Let us talk about it. We have heard people saying that the challenge in this country is about the exercise of power at the very top, and that therefore, if we have 5 senior positions at the top, then everything will be all right. That everything does not assuage the pain and hunger in the ordinary person's belly. We must address it. And I think that that conversation is a conversation that we can have. But when people start going all over the place saying that let us not have that conversation, they are actually encouraging us to sit on a time bomb, because whether you like it or not, the Paris mobs are one of these days going to get very, very disillusioned. They are going to feel like they have nothing to lose, and they are going to storm the Bastille.
As in July 14, 1789.
Allow me to say something. I agree with Barack completely. But as a student, you must have read of a person in the Nottingham Forest called Robin Hood.
Stole from the rich, gave to the poor.
We must not allow the politics of Robin Hoodism to define how we are. And I'm one who is averse to the political process being used by individuals to distribute largesse. I think that what we should be selling to the people is ideas. Because when we allow Robin Hoodism to characterize and to define our politics, then we get it wrong. I would want to hear people go out there and tell young people, and this administration told us that they would create 1 million jobs. This administration said that we would have laptops. This administration said many things. This administration will be judged on the things that they promise in their manifesto. And this administration is going to be found wanting because it fell short. So what I'm saying when I'm speaking about these things is that you can continue to talk that language of dealing with poverty without having a binary approach, which then creates a society which is divided and without giving prominence to the politics of Robin Hoodism.
But the poverty, the hunger is real. You can't tell a hungry person that you are not hungry, because the hunger throbs in their stomach. And like a certain reggae musician said, what is there to smile about when you look at the face of the hungry child? What is there to smile about when you look at the state of the schools? What is there to smile about when you look at even the police stations? Let us agree that there is need for a conversation. If we have witnessed Robin Hood, perhaps Robin Hood has robbed the rich to give the poor, but there are others who have given the poor nothing. So let us sit around the table. Let us accept that we can hold a conversation about the poverty, about the hunger, that we can avert the time bomb. Because, as I said before, and history is full of lessons. If you think that keeping quiet about it is the solution, is the alternative, you bury your head in the sand.
Yeah. History is littered with examples, like you say. Gentlemen, let's look at some tweets. Do you mind?
Yes, please.
Yeah? Because you guys, I mean, I could talk all evening, you know
Absolutely.
that. I could talk all night, but you guys have been fantastic. So we take a look at some tweets. Excuse me. Tweets coming in so thick and fast. Paul David Davies says, PLO is right. Drums of political war are beating and they need to be stopped by whatever means, even if it is banning political events until 2 months before elections. We really don't care. Barack, you don't agree with that, huh? Don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't ban. I mean, just keep going. So many tweets. Wycliffe Gifted says, internal wrangles within the Jubilee administration needs to be resolved in a manner that Kenyans' lives and national development is not jeopardized. I still believe that reconciliation is the best way to go for our leaders. Well, you know, that marriage is already over, like you guys said, so I don't know. Maybe 3 days of national prayer would help. Modoniwa Mwagi says, thank you for the great conversation. I institutionalized de-ethnicization of Kenyans, job creation and enhancing cohesiveness are key to tangible nation building to build a strong and globally competitive nation. Wow. She's speaking like you people here, you know. Heavy language. Gabriel Kanja asked Professor PLO, what do you think the best way to achieve two-thirds agenda rule is dissolving parliament? Yeah, I think we did that already. Is there a guarantee that a new parliament will meet? Yeah, we did that. Okay. Wanja Douglas says, as painful as it is, this is a conversation we should have as a nation. We must face it that right from the top we are failing Kenyans. Let our leaders tonight listen to these pots of wisdom and find our paths again. It is not lost. Gentlemen, thank you for that. Thank you for all your tweets. Let's conclude, gentlemen, because I know there's a curfew and you guys, yeah, I apologize.
Yes, and I need a letter to allow me.
We have a letter.
Can you tell the IG?
I'm sorry, are you heading to Karen or where are you heading?
I'm just heading to the slum.
I got you.
No,
I got you.
We'll accommodate him at Sagret.
Don't worry.
Gentlemen, some closing thoughts. Barack, let's start with you. Going forward.
Going forward, I think this is our country, as we have kept saying all along, and that the country must come first, and that the rule of law is very critical. If and when we gravitate away from the rule of law, then we are about to gravitate away from everything that holds us together. Because if I don't obey the law and I get away with it with impunity, you don't obey the law, you get away with it with impunity. He disobeys and we deal with him firmly, and with a hammer we encourage him to also disobey the law. So let the law apply equally. Let it be like the saw that cuts down and cuts up, and let it be the same for everybody. If we say, let there be no political campaigns at this time, let them cease for everybody. If we say, let people declare the sources of their wealth, and I think that is very important. William Ruto should tell Kenyans where he has got his billions from. Raila Odinga must tell Kenyans where he has got his billions from. Francis Atwoli has sat here and broken a phone that cost him, I'll not break mine, but it has cost him close to 300,000 Kenya shillings on this floor. We don't know where he has got his wealth. We don't know where his factories are. We don't know where his ranches are. We don't know where his farms are. Let all of these people tell us where they have got their billions from. It is another conversation that we must have as a country and decide how we shall go forward with it.
Yeah. who's going to start by declaring? I mean, I remember my good friend Bob Collymore, remember when he declared his wealth, and Joshua Igara, they both declared, and we said, 10 million a month, you know, it was a big laugh.
Absolutely.
Nobody believed, you know, that's how Kenyans are. Prof,
Jeff,
you have the last word.
We are in a very interesting space in the history of our country. One of the things that we must do is to urge those in the political class to de-ethnicize our politics. The bane of this country, which is potentially a good country, is that we are constantly being mobilized on the basis of ethnicity. I look forward to the day when we'll stop these meetings. Luhyas have met, Kisis have met, Kambas have met, Mount Kenya have met, Mijikenda have met. When will Kenya meet? I look forward to that day. And I'm urging President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, this is your administration. When history is written, it will be said of your administration that during that administration there were certain court orders that were issued which were not obeyed. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, remember this is your administration. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, it will be remembered that it is during this period that your deputy president took a different trajectory. Call your deputy president to order. It will be remembered, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, that you shook hands with Mzee Raila Odinga on the 9th day of March 2018 to build bridges. It will be said, why are you building others and burning others? My appeal to all of us Kenyans, let us not respond to the call by politicians to think ethnically. Our duty is to think about Kenya, to think about the next generation, not about the next elections. The politicians are thinking about the next elections and distributing to us monies which they took from us. Reject them, use the ballot, and let us raise our voices, because at times such as this, silence is unpatriotic, silence is betrayal. Let us all arise and do that which is good and right for the sake of children who live now and children yet to be born.
And you mentioned the 9th day of March 2018, 2 days from now, the 9th day of October, National Day of Prayer. You mentioned that, right?
Thank
3
you.
days of prayer, right?
Yes.
October 9th, 10th, and 11th.
And when we pray, let us not mock God. The God that we worship must never be mocked.
And the prayers which the God that we Christians worship has said in the book of Isaiah chapter 1. You can read it starting from verses 8 up to about 16, that there are prayers that he does not listen to. So even as President Uhuru Kenyatta calls the country to order, he must begin by calling himself to order. He must come with clean hands, and then the rest of us he will also call to order. And I know that I should have concluded, but since this has come up, this is a good moment with this prayer. We have heard of Brutus, where he says about the tide in the affairs of men, the tide which when taken at the flow of the floods leads to fortune. The tide which when ignored, when that opportunity is missed, leads the whole voyage of the lives of men and women to be bound in shallows and in disasters. That we must take the current when it counts. Otherwise, we lose everything.
Prof, what was that Mwalimu Nyerere you said? What was that thing that Nyerere said? Akitaka sana hii kitu.
Ukiona mtu anataka sana kwenda ikulu,
Na wanasiasa wote hutaka sana.
ukiona anataka sana kwenda ikulu, jihadhari naye, kwani kuna biashara gani
Na
ikulu
wote huwa wanataka hivyo sana.
biashara gani wanafanya?
Alafu kuna wabwana,
kuna
na watu wana.
mabwana na
na kuna
watu wana.
watu wana. That's what I learned. That's what I learned tonight.
Kuna watu na viatu.
Kuna watu na viatu. Well, thank you so much for being my first guest. I really appreciate it, gentlemen. Let's keep talking.
And I think you are sartorially elegant. You are properly attired.
Am I okay? Will I do in the court?
I see your curve has flattened.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds good.